if you have any, if you need more clarification on these concepts. Okay, let's move on now. Can I create like this? So this is an interface, right? Can you create object for interface? Is this correct or wrong?
No, so you cannot create objects for interface.
Hmm?
So
You cannot
interfaces are
create.
used to, you cannot create objects for interfaces.
So you cannot create object for any interface. It doesn't matter WebDriver. WebDriver is one of the name of interface. Like that, any interface you are not allowed to create. I already told that why you should not create for interface an object. So this is wrong. This is the interview question. They're testing your Java concept in Selenium. Whether you know or not, they'll give like this. You should say answer, this is wrong. Why it's wrong? You're creating object for interface. It is not allowed. So for any interface, you should not create object. You should not create object. So why you should not create object for a WebDriver? I'm telling for not only for a WebDriver, for any interface, this is the answer you have to give. For any interface, why you should not create object? This is the answer. Interface contains all abstract methods. Interface contains all abstract methods. Those methods are not implemented without definition. You cannot use them, right? So interface contains only abstract methods. The abstract methods means what? They're not implemented, right? They're just blank methods. No particular action for that method. So there, what that method has to do, we don't know in the interface. And you have to implement in different classes. That's what I have shown you in the Java. How you can implement interface methods in different classes in different ways. So without implementation for those methods, you cannot use that. So without a definition, we cannot use those methods. That is the reason you should not create object for any web interface. So when you write a first line of code, we are writing like this, right? Interface reference variable equal to new implementing class. So this is the following runtime polymorphism oops concept. So what is happening? All WebDriver methods you are overriding in the child classes, in the implementation classes. That is called runtime polymorphism. That is called runtime polymorphism. So this is the another interview question. Next. So what is meant by WebDriver driver? So how can you explain what is meant by WebDriver driver? Left part we are writing, right? So WebDriver driver means what? So WebDriver is an interface. So did you remember in Java I explained the data types? Primitive and non-primitive data types. So interface comes under which data type? Primitive or non-primitive?
Non-primitive.
Non-primitive data type. So non-primitive data type. So this all interfaces are non-primitive data type for this variable, right? So driver data type is a WebDriver interface. So that's what I'm telling very clearly. WebDriver is an interface, and we are defining a reference variable that is driver. The reference variable for this WebDriver interface is a driver whose type is an interface. So what is the type of driver? Interface type. What is the driver type? Interface type. Now any object, so we assign to the driver must be an instance of a class, but not instance of an interface. So that's why I already told you here, you should not create object. It should be an instance of a class which implements the any interface. Which class is implementing the interface? That class object you have to write here. So this is the object for the classes only. See, Firefox driver, Chrome driver. If you want to run your test case on Firefox browser, you have to create for Firefox driver class object. If you want to run on Edge browser, you have to write a new Edge driver. If you want to run on Safari browser, new Safari driver. Basically, class I'm creating object. Okay, so that's a very important. So next, see this I already explained, right? Selenium4, how it came into market. Then what is the super interface of WebDriver is a search context. So this is the Selenium4 architecture. So before the client, these are all client libraries. Java 1 client library, C#, Python, Ruby, Java. These are the client libraries, right? So that means that programming languages, they have written the code for those methods. Those methods are implemented in different programming languages. Now it is directly transferring the code to this browser driver servers. Every browser driver is one HTTP server. Every browser driver class is one HTTP server. So that server directly interacts with the browser because the W3C standards are there in every browser. So the server will directly interact with the browser. The browser is basically your application you will open, right? In the browser, real browser only. So internally, all this will happen. So in the same browser. So that's a Selenium4 architecture. And what is the difference between Selenium3 and Selenium4? So Selenium3, Chrome driver extends directly to the remote web driver. So as I have shown you, right? And Selenium4, Chrome driver class extends to Chromium driver, right? So which is extends to Chromium driver. So this Chromium driver has some predefined methods to access the dev tools, CDP methods. Those are declared here in the Chromium driver. So implemented in that class. In Selenium3, JSON wire protocol was the major mode of communication between the test code and browser. But in Selenium4, WebDriver uses the W3C protocol. It has so W3C compliance is there. So that's the major change. A difficult task in Selenium3 was the testers were always to start the hub and node jars each time to perform automation testing on the grid. But in Selenium4, the testers need not start the hub and node jars every time they perform the automation. So that's the major changes you can explain Selenium3 and Selenium4 changes. Okay. This is another very important concept. Let's finish this also, and so that we can. But this is a very important interview question. Okay, what are the Selenium3 and Selenium4 changes? Top 11 challenges in automation testing is Basically, there are two kinds of pop-ups. One is web pop-ups, Windows pop-ups. So web pop-ups you can handle with Selenium very easily. Like get window handles. Then you have a switch to methods. But there is a alerts. So alerts also you can handle using alert method. So you have to switch to that alert, and then you accept that alert. You can handle that. So first you have to recognize that it's a web pop-up or Windows pop-up. Based on that, you have to take a decision. That's one bigger challenge for us. So which one that is? So basically, remember, web pop-ups are designed with HTML code. Windows pop-ups are designed with a JavaScript code. JavaScript related methods you have to use. So that JavaScript related one is a alert method. That alert, you have to switch to that alert first. You are in the current this page. Now you got the alert, like so alert got, and you have to switch to that alert, JavaScript alert. Like you got a confirmation dialog box, or you got a prompt dialog box. How can you switch to them? So those you have to use these methods. So dismiss method, accept method. First you switch to that alert. So if you get that Windows pop-ups, you switch to that alert, then you need to call dismiss method to cancel that alerts, or you want to accept that alert, you can use accept method. But first you have to switch. So driver dot switch to method dot alert method, then you call alert reference variable dot accept method alert reference variable dot dismiss method, or get text method. All different methods are available. Those methods you have to call to handle the window pop-ups. So yesterday we discussed this, identifying a dynamic elements. So in the web pages, generally new changes comes, they will add. So new changes comes, they will add code, and that time the element identification will fail. Element identification will fail. If element identification is failing, and that means it is dynamically changing. How you can handle that? We have seen using XPath and CSS concepts you are using to handle that dynamically changing elements, or like you are using a contains starts with ends with. So those concepts you are using to handle the dynamically changing elements. That's one challenge here in Selenium. And timeout or a synchronization issue. Basically, 80% of your test cases will fail due to synchronization of the browser loading and Selenium fastness. Selenium is very fast, and your browser is loading very slowly your web page elements, and Selenium will go and look for before that appears in the web page. And that sync, if you are not making between browser loading and the Selenium running speed, you're not matching, then it will throw timed out issue. So in order to handle that timeout and synchronization issues, we're going to use a Selenium wait commands or synchronization commands. Those are called implicit wait and explicit wait, fluent wait. These are the wait commands you need to use that. If you're not using them, it is very difficult to handle that. Okay, so that's how you can handle this concept. Just ask Selenium WebDriver, hey, wait WebDriver, my page is loading, or my element is still not available. You can ask WebDriver. So then WebDriver thread will wait there sometime. That wait commands you can add implicit waits and fluent waits and explicit waits you need to use to handle this timeout issues or synchronization issues. The issue is timing out or sync issue. How can you handle that? With this wait commands. You have to include wait commands in your code. Then automatically it will take care. Cross-browser testing. So when you are running your automation test case on different browsers, one browser it may work and one browser it will not work. Then you have to sync, right? All the browsers, it should work. Maybe some XPath if you change, or CSS if you use a common between browsers, then it will start working. So you have to run multiple times on all the browsers, make it a constant, then it will work. So that if you want to handle that, you need to run the Selenium test case multiple times, and wherever it is failing, and see why it is failing and which browser it is failing, and fix that, and make a common object identification across the different browsers, and then it will start working. So that's the challenges you will get. So it might fail your test cases in the cross-browser testing time, and make sure you use the proper object identification to solve that issue. Basically, timing issues and object identification issues that will get while running the cross-browser testing. So mobile application testing, directly it is not possible in Selenium WebDriver because there is no support, right? There is no support in the WebDriver, but you have to use alternative mobile application testing. If you want to do, you have to use a Appium open source tool, which is going to use WebDriver protocol in the Appium tool. That's how you can test the mobile applications in Selenium. So page loading, as I mentioned on the timeout and synchronization issue. So your page is loading very slowly, but your Selenium is very faster. Suppose there is a cascade drop downs. So one drop down, you select option, and next drop down will be loaded based on the first drop down, and second drop down options will be loaded. And you have to wait that loading time you have to give, but Selenium doesn't wait. You have to include wait command there. Okay, wait until this second drop down completes loading. If you are not telling that, Selenium WebDriver doesn't wait. So then your test case will fail. So you have to tell WebDriver, okay, so how can you tell that? You have to use explicit wait commands. Explicitly, you are asking WebDriver, hey, WebDriver, wait. My element is still loading. And you can ask WebDriver, WebDriver will wait. How much time? You can tell the time. How much time you are asking to wait. That concept is explicit waits are there. That we'll discuss in the coming classes. Scalability. So you want to run your automation test cases, different operating system browser combination. That scalability, if you want to do, WebDriver directly doesn't give provision. So you have to use a grid concept. That grid will empower you to run on different operating system browser combination, even in parallelly also. So that is the scalability is provided. So if you want to run on different machines and browser combination very quickly, that's one combination. So grid will empower you. So multi-tab testing. So multi-tab testing is a different tabs you want to test and switch to the different tabs between different tabs. Now they provided the switch to window concept, and that will help you to overcome the multi-tab testing very easily. And also limited reporting capabilities are there. Selenium doesn't have any reporting capabilities. You have to use TestNG or for getting the reports or extent reports. You have to apply in Selenium code. Then only you will get a nice reports. Otherwise, you won't get that. And another thing is limited CAPTCHA handling. So captures you cannot handle with Selenium. That's one bigger challenge for the Selenium. So, and it supports only web-based applications. It doesn't support Windows-based applications. These are the main changes, okay, main challenges. So it doesn't support Windows-based application testing, captcha you cannot handle, limiter reporting, and all other features also. You can tell what are the challenges you faced in your automation, means you can tell all these points. So what are the challenges with the Selenium is you can tell these points. Yeah, so that's it for the day, and we'll see on Monday, right? Your Monday. So please read all this theory part. Theory part also important for your understanding. Okay, then we'll go on all these concepts on the next classes. Any questions?